Hello, my name's Erin Shea. Welcome to my channel. So today's video will be about how to eat healthy and lose weight while on a budget. So a few years ago I was a student. I wasn't earning very much money at all, and I managed to lose 12 kilograms during this time. I learned a lot of tips and tricks about how to save money while staying on a budget. I had to learn the hard way. Made a lot of mistakes, and I hope that maybe with this video I'll be able to help one person learn how to live more frugally, I guess. You won't only necessarily benefit from this if you really need to stay on a budget. Maybe you just want to save some money, you're spending a little bit too much money on groceries, and you just want to learn some ways to cut that down. You might be moving out of home, you might be a family. This can work for everyone, and most of these tips and tricks that I still use on a day-to-day basis. So today I will be sharing 8 tips on how to stay healthy and lose weight on a budget. Just for context, while I was on a budget, I guess, between my partner and I, every week we were spending between about $70 and $100 on all our groceries. So that's between $35 and $50 each for all our meals. We could have got this down a little bit further. We knew how to keep it closer to 70, but on the weeks that we were spending a little bit more, maybe we're buying cleaning products or something, or we just wanted to indulge a little bit more. So there's always more ways to get it down. So tip number 1 is to plan your meals and write a shopping list. So with a shopping list, I just make it on my phone. So I will just write down all the things I need. And I'll add tick boxes. So that way, as I get them in the grocery store, I can just tick them off and I know that they're done. I will never get anything that isn't on this list. That was very, very important to me. So that way I was able to stay to the right amount of grams, the right number of everything I needed, and I would never deviate. I would never go, oh, that chocolate looks good, because that's where a lot of the money tends to come in. So always write a shopping list. You'll be amazed how much money it will save you. So tip number 2, don't eat meat. Or at least just cut down on it. Meat is incredibly expensive. If you're going to eat meat, there are cheaper ways to do it. For example, you can buy the cheap cuts. When you buy a steak or something, a lot of the time you'll find that because that's one of the more popular cuts, the animals are specifically being slaughtered, I guess, for that cut. So the cuts that are less popular, that people don't buy, the animal's still going to produce that. They're still going to have those cuts, but they'll be sold for less because people are less likely to buy them. Alternatively, things like mince are also cheaper, but I found the best method was to just cut back on meat. It is so expensive, and you can get plenty of protein and everything from other sources. I'm not vegetarian, I'm not vegan, but to this day I definitely stay very low on meat because, among other reasons, it's expensive, and I really think that this will make a huge difference to your grocery shopping bill. Meet a really good friend of mine, beans. So this bad boy cost me less than $1. It is full of calories. So just in this can, there's 3.2 servings. For each of those servings, there's just under 100 calories. So with these, they're so cheap, so much cheaper than meat. There's so much you can do with beans. You have so many different types. You have chickpeas, you have black beans. They're all so cheap. And there are just so many recipes that are so good and so flavorful, where you're getting the calories that you need, you're getting protein, you're getting all of that good stuff without spending money on meat. It will change your life and your bank account, I promise you. Go to budget supermarkets. So in Australia, we have Aldi. In Western Australia, we have Spud Shed. Now, I go to these places first, and anything that I can't get from there, or anything I want to, that I know I can get cheaper elsewhere, I will go to the other supermarket afterwards. So I get everything I can and everything I want from these budget supermarkets, and then use the more expensive supermarkets to supplement that. It may mean that your shopping trip might take a little bit longer, but I promise you the difference that you'll see in how much you spend, especially on things like fresh produce, is huge. Give it a try, please. So the next tip I have is to prep in bulk. It will save you so much time and so much money to pick a recipe and maybe make 3 nights worth. Just make a huge pot. So for example, one of my favorite meals is pumpkin chili con carne. When I make several servings of that, not only am I having less waste because you can't buy a really small amount of pumpkin, but it's also saving me money on tins and everything. I'm using the whole of the tin. I'm not buying small amounts of specialized ingredients just to make 1 or 2 servings. It honestly saves so much money and so much time if you just prep your favorite recipes in bulk. You don't have to eat them all like 3 days in a row. You can if you want. What I used to do is make a couple of them at a time and just use those 2 recipes to keep me fed for the whole week. And just set just an hour of 1 day a week and you're prepped. Honestly, that was one of the main things that I learned, and it changed my life. Tip number 6 is to buy the ugly food. So I know that some local supermarkets, like in Perth, we have Woolworths, and they have a section for the ugly produce. So you can buy a bag of lemons, for example, for say $3, when if you were to buy a bag of like the not ugly produce, then it's going to cost you $6 or $7. So the ugly produce doesn't make a difference to the taste in the food. It just means that it's not as aesthetically pleasing. So you might not use it in a restaurant, but if you're cooking at home, then all it's doing is saving you money. It's not any sort of inconvenience. I feel like being able to buy ugly produce, it's so much better for the environment as well, because otherwise this produce would just be going to waste. So really, for your bank account and the planet, it just makes sense to buy the ugly food, right? And I promise, no one's gonna care. Grate it yourself, noodle it yourself. So I know that you can buy grated cheese, you can buy zoodled zucchinis, but you'll spend a lot less money if you just take the time to do it yourself. It doesn't take that long, it's not that much effort, and it's going to save you serious dollar in the long run if you're just spending the 2 minutes doing it yourself rather than paying someone else to do it. I promise it pays off really quickly, and it shaves quite a lot of money off of your grocery shop. Now, my final tip for this video is something that one of the tips that I'm probably most passionate about, because I see so many people make this mistake, but purchase by the dollar per kilo. If you're going and buying a small amount of something and it's costing you more in the long run than it is to buy a larger amount of that something, then you're not doing yourself any favors. It may be an initial investment to say buy a larger amount of toilet paper, not a grocery, but you get it on your shop, so you get the point. Maybe more expensive in the first place, but it means that you're spending less in the long run. You're not buying toilet paper every time you go to the shops. Instead, you're buying it this once, and in a month you might have to do it again. If one toilet roll was $2 and you're spending $10 on a pack of 12, if you were to buy one toilet roll every time, then that's going to cost you $24 for the same amount of toilet paper. This works for everything. It works for cheese, it works for beans, it works for most groceries that you can think of. It is cheaper by kilogram to buy in bulk. And unless it's a perishable good that you're not going to use, say if you don't really eat cheese that often, you just want it for this one particular recipe, obviously just buy the right amount for you. But if it's something that you're going to keep using, do not waste your money on buying small amounts at a time. That's it for my video. I really hope that someone out there found it helpful. I made these mistakes, and I really hope that someone can save just a few dollars with these simple tips and tricks. If you liked this video and would like to see more, maybe I'll do a grocery haul or something sometime soon. Comment below if you'd like to see that. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, and I will see you next Sunday when I upload. Thanks!